Hello, it's Jena Rodriguez here. Welcome to a very special Brave Entrepreneur podcast show today. It's just me, you and me today, and I am so excited to have this conversation with you. I am really thrilled to share with you that this is a special occasion. It is our 3rd year anniversary. And here at the Brave Podcast show. And I just wanted to show up here and really share with you some of the things I've learned about being brave and being exponentially brave going into this next year. And so I thought that would be the conversation that would hopefully inspire you and motivate you to take this year on at a whole nother level, and just like I am. And so I wanted to share 3 things that I think would help you do such a thing. And so if you're new to me, I'll just introduce who I am. I'm Jena Rodriguez, and I'm a brand, business, and brave strategist. And I help entrepreneurs truly up-level their brand clarity, their business strategy, and their profit enhancement strategies, because my superpower is I have both a artistic mind, and creative mind, as well as the numbers gal. And I bring those 2 things together to create the perfect storm to help my entrepreneurs that I work with to really up-level their game and to be the business CEO that they really want to be, along with expressing themselves creatively and through a very powerful brand. So that's who I am. And so I want to keep this pretty short and to the point, and I just really want to get it kind of in your head right now. And the thing that I want you to know is that brave is something that you embody. And it is for me, it's certainly something I've always been. And I just didn't know it. I didn't articulate that for many, many years. And when I started producing the show, that's why I titled it The Brave Entrepreneur, because that's what I believe entrepreneurs are. And then I rebranded my business to Brave Masters, because guess what? That's what I'm on a mission to create, is more and more brave masters. You've already got it within you, but I'm here to take it to the next level. And so when I started the show, of course, I had to get my own brave on just to start producing it, showing up differently, showing up bigger. We're in over, 70 plus countries at this point, and which is super exciting. And I'm so glad you all are here. And, and we're growing and we're expanding and we're talking to more and more amazing people every single day. The show is getting traction and people are reaching out to me to be on the show. And I think it's because this conversation really resonates. And so when I looked at what brave really required, I saw that, number 1, it's a decision that we make. Number 2, it's a commitment that we constantly do for ourselves, right? We commit every single day. And then we ultimately take massive action. And so that is what this show's all about. It shares with you not only my own journey around my business and my life and what brave means to me, but I bring you guests and other people that are in the game and, having their own guts about themselves and putting themselves out there in a bigger way and really making a difference in the world. And they all have stories, and we all do, you included. And so today I was like, what should I talk about? I just wanted something to really kind of come to me. And so literally 5 minutes before showing up here, I decided that I wanted to share with you what I think will exponentially grow your business, grow your life, and expand what you're up to if you do 3 specific things and take them on at a new level without the fear, or in spite of the fear, and also with it's almost like with somewhat of an obsession, a necessity. I've been talking a lot about necessity with my clients and such. It was a topic that really showed up last year for me, and what that means is you have to know what your necessity is in order to wake up every day and do this work. Right? Wake up every day and wear all the multiple hats that it requires to be an entrepreneur, to be self-employed. And, and I have other hats. I'm sure some of you do as well. I'm a mother, I'm a wife, I'm, a sister and a daughter and, and all these things, all these different roles. And then you add all of the different hats from being the CEO to being heck, you might even be your own janitor at this point, and it requires something of us. And so I really saw this conversation around necessity show up, because I was like, well, what motivates the crap out of me when I get up in the morning? And it is this push and pull for me to, well, first of all, my stand in the world is to eradicate unrealized human potential. It's like, that is what I've been on a mission to do, not only for myself, which I believe our stand usually begins there. And then now, it's like, okay, I've got, some of my stand figured out, and I'm figuring it out for myself at some level, so I can offer those lessons and that teaching and that, coaching and mentorship to others. And so clearly the vehicle called Brave Masters, the business I've chosen, and the type of business where I get to coach and mentor other entrepreneurs to just basically do what I've done and to excel in their own right, is an expression of that stand. And there are other businesses. I'm actually a partner in another business as well that I know is aligned with that stand as well. And so if you know what you stand for, if you also have a necessity, some of you might have, it's like, I want to work really hard right now so I can, breathe when I'm older, right? And we can have that financial freedom, and we can have that freedom lifestyle. And that's something that pulls me forward. I also know this is my livelihood, right? The mortgage doesn't get paid if we don't work for ourselves. My husband and I are both self-employed. And so if we don't wake up and do the work, we don't have a home, among other things, right? Those niceties that we have in our life. So it's about being, really clear about, not just why you're doing what you're doing, but what is going to wake you up and put the fire under your rear, right? Because it's one thing to say, I have a why and I have a mission, and this would be nice to have, and things like that, but that is not going to pull you through the hard times, right? So it's not only, the necessity that we have to determine, but it's the commitment to that necessity and that decision that we've made called run a business, or help a million people, or whatever our decisions are. It's one thing to say so, and it's another to commit to it and take the action necessary. And so that's been pretty much the essence of this show, is what's it going to take for everyone to succeed in entrepreneurship, and what's it take for those that aren't succeeding to step up to the plate, or those that are succeeding, how are they going to elevate it? And so today's show, I really wanted to speak to what are 3 things that I think, especially if you take them on at a new level this year, would truly elevate where you are. And so I'm going to share with number 1 is what I call transparency. And so my definition of transparency is the willingness to share the truth, right? And to really show up and, be authentic and be real about who you are, what your point of view is, and transparently show up that way as a brand, as a business owner, as a culture. And it's about not hiding and, or inflating, or, making things look better than they are. Sometimes it's just about being real. And so how transparent are you about where you are, what you want, what's your point of view, and where do you want to go? And, and I have done my job as much as I possibly can. And this wasn't always the case. I certainly had times in my entrepreneurial journey. Remember, I've been in business about 12 years now, and it's taken different iterations. I've owned a few different businesses, things like that. But there was a time where I was shy about it. I was not as transparent as I know I could be. And it's not about showing off. It's not about, but it is about being real. And some people aren't even going to be able to be with what is real about you in your life, or where you are, or what have you. Or, you share a story of some sort and they just don't agree. So transparency is something that you really have to take on as a core value. and it is one of mine. And so I continue to step into that vulnerability, which is number 2. And vulnerability for me is taking transparency and being willing to share it out loud. And so you can be transparent, especially with your clients and those kind of close to home. But vulnerability, I think, is that next level. And so that's the second strategy that I recommend, or second core value. I would rather call it that this time than a strategy, because it's something you be, it's something that you embody. And so vulnerability for me it's about, owning your voice, owning your truth, and being willing to share it out loud. And so that for me has been on many occasions standing up on a stage and telling some stories from living in kind of an abusive household as a child, or young teenager, preteen, and to being homeless for all intents and purposes. At one point, I literally had a carload of belongings and a cat. That's all I had. And the other story that many of you might have heard is, my first business crashed and burned. It failed miserably. And I had to file bankruptcy because of it, because I was $700,000 in debt. And so I didn't speak of that story out loud, except for my little close-knit family or, those close to me. I didn't speak on stage or share that in a powerful way as obviously my truth until about 6 or 7 years after it occurred. 6 years, I believe it was. It was something I felt shame around, and I defined myself by it in some way, and I was honestly just scared other people would define me by it, and that's what kept me quiet. And so vulnerability is about kind of getting out of your own way and owning your story, owning the things that are ugly truths, and owning also the successes. I think the other side of that is people are also worried about showing how successful they are, and to live in the goodness of life and to share that vulnerably, because they are also afraid of some type of judgment, and holding themselves back from being with people because they're worried. I think vulnerability, bottom line, comes down to you're worried about what other people think. And trust me, I still on occasion live in that space. That it still stings if someone were to judge me, obviously negatively. However, I'm so much more committed to being transparent, being vulnerable for those that need to know it and to hear it. And I came through that in getting my brave on and, standing on a stage for the first time and telling the story, and having someone walk up to me immediately in tears going, "Oh my gosh, you know me, right? You get me. And I am so grateful that you shared that story." That one very pivotal moment, because I got off the stage thinking, "Oh my God, I just shared everything about this story, and I don't know what people are going to think." And I walked to the back of the room, and that one person made all of the difference, because in that second, I realized that story is not about me. That story is about the people listening, and it's to be of service to them, to get them to see that they are not alone, to let them hear that I can overcome something and they can too. And I think vulnerability allows people to give themselves permission. And so if you're transparent as well as vulnerable, right, then exponential brave can occur, and you start to show up in life, and you start to own life, and you start to take a personal responsibility for your life and where you are and where you're going, because no one else can detour you unless you let them, right? You let the detours, you let the distractions take you off track. Right? Detours are just an opportunity, clearly, and you get to decide how it turns out. And I too had to learn, personal responsibility for how my life and business is showing up is so powerful. It is actually, I think, the power source for change, for results, for things to occur in your business and life the way you want them to. So personal responsibility, I guess I gave you a bonus. I think that's another one that you got to add to your list this year and beyond, that will absolutely create exponential, brave and exponential results in your life and business. So number 3, once you're transparent, once you're vulnerable, and also being personally responsible for your results in life and et cetera, number 3 is massive visibility. So if you want to make the impact that I know you do, and you say you want to help lots of people, and you say you want to make a difference in the world, the game changers are getting seen. That's the game. And it's so available to every single one of us, because look, the power of podcasting, the power of social media, the power of online, right? And you don't have to, go knock on doors like we used to, and to get fans and followers. We can show up online and people can invite themselves into our space. We can invite them. They can invite themselves as well. So that opportunity is huge. And if you're not maximizing it, we're missing the boat. And I too have a whole new level, not only respect for it, but also a new decision about it. Meaning this year I realized I was still playing a bit small in the online world. And guess what? It had everything to do with judgment. And because there was a point a couple months ago where I said, okay, because I always do this, I look at, okay, what's my next thing? What's my next brave? What am I going to get braver about? What's my next goal? What do I want more of, and all that. And so I knew I wanted to create an online presence that was much bigger than where I was. And then I also looked at, I wanted to create more online courses and programs that allowed more and more people, because I'm only one person. And although I've got 20 plus years experience, I cannot teach one person at a time, meaning I have a lot of wonderful private clients, but I basically max out at 10 to 15, so I can't, that's not enough people. That's not enough impact. I want to make a bigger impact. And so I saw that my next level is not only massive visibility, and but also developing more courses and trainings and things like that, and programs that many people can take advantage of. And so when I made that decision and I said, okay, this is my decision, I was not committing to it every day like I know that I'm supposed to do. But part of it was I could tell there was something in the way. And so I left myself in a place of inquiry and just really said, what's holding me back? That's what I had to go to. And it took a few days, or I don't even know, it might have been a week or a month, I'm not sure. But I sat with that question until the answer showed up, just like that. I was actually on Facebook looking at someone's post, and he's well known, internationally. And the posts were, I started reading some of the posts or comments actually on the post, and there was over 500 comments or something like that. So he's got a humongous following, and of course, to be expected, there's all these posts or comments, excuse me. And so my point is I was reading some, and literally about 20 of them, as I skimmed through 500, 20 of them in a row, hate, negativity, like judgment. And I was like, what is happening? Like this guy that I know, I'm not keeping it a secret here. It's Tony Robbins. He's in my Facebook feeds. I respect how much he's done in his life, and I follow some of his trainings and posts and all these things. So anyway, so his post, and I saw it, and I was curious about what the conversation was, and what this program or this event that he was having coming up, and I just picked up on these specific posts or comments right at a moment where I was like, holy cow. How does he deal with this hate all the time? I hope he's desensitized. I'm sure he is. And I am sure he's also not potentially reading every single one of those comments. And yet it still hit me. It still hit me in the gut. I was like, if I was him, I would be like wanting to curl up in, a corner. And of course, I do believe he's come through this before. He's probably very used to it. And or doesn't read them, or his team reads them, or something. I don't know. But the bottom line is that moment got me clear on why I was holding myself back, and it was simply because I was I was afraid of that judgment if I went that massively well known. Meaning if I put myself out in massive visibility, what could happen, right? I was in the what could happen and the what if. But it was subconscious. I wasn't really thinking those thoughts. I was just like, why am I not doing what I need to do? What's holding back my actions? And so I offer that to you because that is a process and a practice that I'm in at all times, meaning when I see that I'm not getting my brave on, or I see that I'm hesitating, or I'm holding myself back, or I have like a physical sensation of nerves and or fear or whatever it is, I ask myself, what is holding me back? And let it reveal itself to me. And when I was just running past some posts and comments, the answer for me showed up. And sure enough, I saw that that's crazy, that, if people are going to judge in that way, I certainly am not going to be able to control it. And what about all the 90% of the people that had the positive comments? What about them, right? So yeah, I still deal with this, because I don't want to be hated. I don't want to be disliked, but I want to be able to support the people and serve the people that actually deserve to have what I can offer them. And I think that's what you've got to tap into. You've got to tap into that necessity, because if it's not strong enough, you will curl up in a corner when things like this happen. You won't ask yourself, what can I do to overcome this? You'll find all the excuses why it's not going to work, and try to change direction because, it's easier. It's easier to go find another path than it is to stay the course of what I called a massive online visibility was my decision. And I came up against what, I had to overcome and what I had to be willing to be and to experience. That's the bottom line. And so once I could identify it, and once I could overcome that and go, got it. This is what's holding me back is my resistance and unwillingness to be judged. And at a higher level. Trust me, I've been judged, but somehow I kept it small. I don't know. And it's still happening. Judgment is obviously not about me. It's about the person judging. And so it's something to be remembered, is when you find yourself judging someone else, look in the mirror, because it's a reflection of what you're not willing to experience or be with yourself. And I learned that from my amazing mentor and life transformational coach. And I'm in the practice of that all the time. And so I leave you with these three things, and I would love to hear what is resonating with you. What makes sense about this for you? What are you going to do? What are you going to commit to inside of transparency and vulnerability and massive visibility? Because until you are willing to go there, you're playing small. And I know because I've done it. And I continue to hit my plateaus. I continue to step up, and then I kind of level out. And then I realize that I'm still playing smaller than I could. And, everything is progress. Everything is growth. And that's what I'm in, is a growth phase. And I welcome them, yet I have to be in the practice of looking inward and finding out what's holding me back, what's going to create that necessity for me, what is my next why, what is, what's important to me about building this online space so that I can serve millions of people, I can serve thousands and millions and whatever that number is, right? I may not, be at 100% belief. You never know, right? Until you commit to it. And you've got to see it in your mind before you can see it out there. And I believe it first, and then I do whatever action is next. And so I leave you with those three things: to exponentially get brave and to exponentially experience the results in life that you want. Trust me, this can 10x your business and life. And when I said yes to this a few years back about being transparent and vulnerable, it did 10x that current result that I was having back then. And now I'm going to jump into this massive visibility option, right? And 10x my business and life again. And so we're always growing, we're always expanding, and this is your time. and it's my time to do the same, and I am here with you. And so I just want to invite you to jump in the deep end with me, and I'll be your life preserver if you need one. All right, show up here every week on these shows and hear what you need to hear to stay in the game and stay on course. Reach out to me, of course, personally. My website's bravemasters.com, and there's all kinds of ways you can connect with me on the contact page. Clearly join me on social media, and I welcome those naysayers, but I would certainly prefer not. So unless you got something nice to say, right, don't say anything at all, right? Because kindness goes a long way no matter what. And, and if we find ourselves feeling negative or feeling judgmental or feeling like we have a specific opinion about someone, it's just a matter of looking at what are we not willing to experience about that perception, and definitely look within before we write that negative post. So I offer that to you as well. I definitely think kindness is what we need more of, and support, empowerment, and encouragement to be authentically transparent and vulnerable. And the more we support people, and it not only gives them permission, but it gives ourselves permission. And so please give me feedback. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to know what difference this is making for you. And I am so excited to celebrate our 3rd year anniversary. It's an accomplishment. I told myself 3.5 years ago, I said, okay, next thing for the new year is a podcast. And all I'm going to do is commit to make sure that I have a show at least once a week. And guess what? 3 years later, I'm still in that commitment. And we are only growing and getting bigger and better. And I'm not going anywhere. So this has been such an amazing ride, and I'm looking forward to the ride that follows. And you are a part of that journey, and I really, really appreciate you listening, you watching, giving us comments, giving us feedback, and and just being brave. That's why I'm all about creating more and more brave masters, and I know you are one too, because you wouldn't be watching this otherwise. And so until the next show, we have an amazing series coming up with a couple guests and it's called Where Are They Now? And so we're bringing on a few people that I know have changed their businesses since the first time they were on the show in the first year. And just catching up with them and finding out what has shifted in the last couple years and where are they now. And it's going to be a fun time. We've got some amazing people doing amazing things because they got their brave on at a whole different level in just a short time period. And so look out for those episodes as well coming forth. And again, connect with me. Like I said, we're building out online courses and programs. And one more brave thing I've done is I have developed a program that's called the Brave Speaker Program. And guess what it's all about? It's actually a whole course and detailed strategies and checklists and roadmaps and blueprints and everything I got to show you how I built the business that I've built, and by speaking and showing up and getting visible. And so I'm giving it all away, and I'm so excited to be in the process of making that happen, and that's launching right away. So yeah, there's just a lot of things happening, and I can't thank you enough for being a part of this journey. Until next time, let's go get our brave on.